students. So, welcome to the lecture series on international business. We move on to the second portion, Globalization and International Business Part 2. I am Professor Soma Sengupta, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. Now, the topics I am going to cover in this lecture are importance or advantages of globalization, impact of globalization on international trade, both the positive impact and the negative impact. We begin with the importance or advantages of globalization. First, let's enumerate the different advantages: higher standard of living, faster pace of industrialization, increase in production and per capita consumption, balanced development, increase in employment, healthy competition, human development, common cultures and other advantages. Now we will discuss each of these points one by one, beginning with higher standard of living. Countries produce goods and services in which they have competitive advantage. This leads to an increase in productivity, decline in cost of production and an improvement in quality. For example, if we talk about India, we have a competitive advantage of producing certain products like cotton, tea, rice in India, also gems and jewelry. When we talk about Brazil, they have a competitive advantage in producing coffee. So, this leads to greater productivity of that particular product in that country, and also the quality improves and the cost declines. It results in greater choice and consumer surplus. So, we can avail those products at a price which may be much lower than what we have imagined, and that leads to consumer surplus. This also improves the standard of living of people in that country or all over the world. Then the next point is faster pace of industrialization. Free flow of capital and technology takes place as a result of globalization from one country to another. Global firms can acquire finance at lower cost of capital, so they can invest globally. So, they are getting funds globally and they can invest globally. Increased flow of capital from surplus country to the needy countries increases global investment. Global investment and industrialization in less developed countries, that is LDCs, is taking place. The flow of technology from advanced countries to developing and less developed countries further give a boost to industrialization. For example, China's economic development became faster with global investment. Increase in production and per capita consumption. Speedy industrialization of world economy resulted in increase in output of goods and services. It increased the per capita consumption in both developed and developing countries. Countries with competitive and distinctive advantage as we in production of a particular commodity produce it more in most effective manner and export it to other countries. As we have discussed the example of cotton being produced in India, or rice or tea being produced in India and coffee being produced in Brazil. So, they will concentrate on production of those commodities in which they have competitive or distinctive advantage, and that is why they will get the benefit of economies of large scale production and low cost of production, and they will get better profits, and the whole world is the market. This also leads to best possible use of resources. Another point is balanced development. So, this is another advantage. Globalization results in a spread of manufacturing facilities across nations. This creates job opportunities in developing and less developed countries. So, when job opportunities will be there, more people will be working, then there will be a positive cycle of development over there. More salaries, more investment, more consumption, and again the cycle will continue. FDIs and technological spread further ensures development of such economies. Rapid industrialization takes place in developing countries and in less developed countries or LDCs. Better infrastructure is created there. So, as a result of globalization, we will find that the economies are developing, the economy is investing in development of infrastructure like roads, telecommunication, and other facilities like transportation, warehousing, banks, insurance. All this leads to balanced development of all the countries. The next benefit is increase in employment. As we have seen that the countries where cheaper labor is available, the FDIs and all the companies are moving towards that country. So, developing countries, they attract FDIs. Manufacturing facilities are shifted to low wage developing countries which are generating more employment. In India, the MNCs have generated jobs with the rise of business process outsourcing or BPOs and call centers. Healthy competition. Globalization creates competition between domestic and foreign firms. Companies become cost and quality conscious to face competition. Now, ultimately, this will benefit the customers only because they will get superior products at low prices, and in general the quality of the products will also improve. Globalization keeps a check on prices because there is competition. So, none of the companies will be charging more. They cannot dare to charge more because if they charge more, then people will move to the competing products. The pace of innovation increases because all the companies are doing R&D. They are investing in R&D to find out the ways to create new superior products which will be less costly. As a process of innovation diffusion, as the process of innovation diffusion is becoming shorter, new ideas and products flow quickly from advanced nations to developing nations. So, if we think about the past, the technology used to move from the country of origin to other countries in a very long period of time. So, it used to take at least 20 years to reach that place, but now simultaneously and parallelly the technology is transferred from one country to another. It is introduced in all the countries. Domestic firms then fight with the foreign firms in domestic market as well as the global market, because the technology is moving so fast. The domestic firms also adapt themselves to those technology and adopt those new technologies, and then they become competitors of the foreign firms in the global market. So, all the more competition will be there and the benefit will go to the customers. Another advantage is human development. Increased economic development in LDCs, that is less developed countries, and developing countries is taking place as a result of globalization. Governments earn more in such countries and hence could invest in education, health and welfare facilities, which ultimately develops the human beings of that country. Skill improvement also takes place in such countries. Quality of life in LDCs and developing countries improves. This has a positive impact on physical, mental and social health of people of such countries. Then another advantage is common culture. Globalization facilitates cultural exchange and cultural integration. This has given rise to global products like Hyderabadi biryani is not restricted to Hyderabad or India. It is being sold or it is being introduced in other countries as well and enjoyed by people all over. Likewise, chicken tikka. Cultural integration between nations created a global village. Cultural hybridization and cultural harmonization, which we have discussed in the previous part of globalization, it ensures preserving local culture as well as global unification of taste and preferences. There are certain other advantages like greater variety of goods and services are available to the customers throughout the world, and hence they have greater choice, availability of products at competitive prices, lower cost of production, access to bigger market, faster and wider spread of new technology across world. So all this is beneficial not only for the consumer, global consumer, but also global firms. Now the next heading is impact of globalization on international trade. This can be divided into two categories: positive impact of globalization and negative impact of globalization. We will begin with the positive impact of globalization. One positive impact is the globalization process is benefiting the consumer. So consumer is ultimately becoming the king. Globalization has increased competition between domestic and multinational companies. So this benefits consumers in terms of availability of good quality products at lesser prices, more variety, and technologically advanced products. Now you see that if their domestic company is producing a product which is substandard quality, it cannot survive too long, because the multinational brands are also entering in different countries. So if we talk about India, if any domestic company is thinking of producing any substandard quality product, so it will soon be wiped out from the market, because multinational companies are entering in almost all areas with superior products and lesser prices. Obviously, the consumer will have a choice and they will move towards those multinational brands. This also improves the standard of living of people, because they can now enjoy global products at a lesser price. Increase in job opportunity is another positive impact. Cheap labor and skilled workforce is available in developing countries. Companies from developed countries are shifting their production base or outsourcing functions to developing countries. Income generation and reduction of poverty is taking place in developing countries. So in general, they consider, with the introduction of multinational companies in different countries, a kind of a job opportunities, and as I said, that when job opportunities will be there, the salaries will be more, people will spend, people will invest, and this will lead to economic development of a particular country or particular region. Harmonious relations among countries. Globalization is fostering interdependence among countries. It has created a global favorable environment for countries to reap in benefits of economic growth. Now you know that because of globalization, people know, or the countries know, the government know, that they are dependent on other countries. So they dare not cross their boundaries in a hostile way. So it has created a peaceful relation among countries. Although we have seen in recent, we are witnessing certain war-like situations, wars in certain parts of the world, but in general, we find that peaceful relations is maintained between the countries because of globalization and these interdependencies. Uh, Another positive impact is tapping new markets. Companies explore new markets all over the world. This leads to larger production and economies of scale. Cost of production reduces and the market share in international market improves. For example, Apple iPhones are launched simultaneously in different countries, and they are actually tapping the resources or the global demand. That is about tapping new markets. Then sharing of knowledge is another positive impact. Now knowledge is not restricted to one country. Innovations, inventions are moving very fast. As I discussed previously, that the innovation diffusion cycle is shortening. In fact, if something is invented in one of the country, it is parallelly and simultaneously introduced in all the countries. So knowledge, thoughts and ideas can be shared by people across the globe. This enhances the skills and capabilities of people and development of human resources throughout the world. Besides information technology or IT enabled knowledge sharing, global conferences, summits and are further enhancing the knowledge base of people. So, people are now discussing on different global issues, environmental issues, and that's how people from every country is getting a knowledge about these issues. Then another positive impact is growing tourism industry. World is witnessing an increase in the number of tourists traveling across national boundaries. For example, Switzerland is earning hugely through the tourism industry. Now, another very good example is Saudi Arabia, which previously had a conservative approach. Now it is majorly promoting tourism and inviting tourists to visit there. They also realized that they are depending too much on the revenues generated by one of their resources, that is the oil or petroleum products. So, if EV vehicles become very popular, then there may be a lessening of demand of oil all over the world, and now they are looking for other areas, and one of them is tourism. International system is another positive impact, that international standards are set to monitor the movement of goods, capital and people across borders. International courts and justice system is in place to resolve any disputes in international business. International organizations like WTO, IMF, World Bank are playing crucial role in monitoring trade and ensuring equal treatment of all countries and groups. Handling global issues is another positive impact of globalization. Handling of common problems like environmental protection, terrorism, human trafficking is jointly and collectively is resolved by all the countries, and it is done by signing agreements and treaties. For example, Kyoto Protocol on climate change and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions set binding targets for 37 industrialized countries and the European community who have signed the treaty. Availability of capital is another positive impact. Financial globalization took place in the form of flow of capital across the nations. For example, FDI and foreign institutional investment FII are beneficial for developing and underdeveloped countries to implement economic development plans. Investors are also able to diversify risks and gain more because of this financial globalization. Then the negative impact of globalization are also there, which are posing obstacles also for the growth of globalization. The negative impact is unemployment, but in previous section we have discussed that it is generating employment. But where it is generating employment? It is generating employment in developing countries or underdeveloped countries, but the jobs are moving out of developed countries. Companies are outsourcing their functions majorly to developing countries to get the advantage of cheap labor and lenient labor laws. Though job opportunities multiplied in developing countries and after globalization, the unemployment rate is increasing in developed countries. Now, if you can recall the first lecture on international business, there we have discussed that how sanctions are being imposed by the new government, the Trump government in USA, and they are majorly thinking about bringing an employment to their people, and that's why they are shortening the licenses or the green card given to other people from other countries. So their motto is now MAGA, Make America Great Again. And in fact, Europe is also coming out with another such strategy, and that is MEGA, that is Make Europe Great Again. So now they are again thinking of pulling back the employment to their nations rather than going to other nations. How it will come up, we will see it in future. Then the next negative impact is killing of domestic industry or smaller firms. Multinational companies are posing tough competition to domestic firms in terms of superior quality, economies of large scale production and low price products. We have discussed this, that domestic company will not survive if they come out with inferior quality goods, because there is a huge competition in every market. They have the funds to, the multinational companies have the funds to advertise and promote their products aggressively. So, there the domestic company do not get that much of fund to advertise their product, and that this kills the domestic industry. All this is making it difficult for the domestic companies to survive. The next is outdated technology. The foreign companies often bring technology that has become outdated or obsolete in their own country. They violate international labor and environmental standards because of weak laws in developing countries. This creates inefficient production, increase in pollution, threat to the lives of workers and substandard output. Another negative impact is exploitation of resources and environmental issues. Industrial development and global trade has resulted in overuse of resources. Think of the oil producing countries. They are producing more more oil, and they are taking out more petroleum products and oil out of their reservoir. And you know that these are not renewable resources. So, this has led to environmental challenges like pollution, depletion of natural resources, especially the non-renewable resources like petroleum, deforestation, global warming, and increased frequency of environmental disasters. Economic inequality is another challenge. Unrestricted globalization can hamper the development of less developed countries, LDCs. Although we boast of a balanced regional development through globalization, but it is ultimately leading to economic inequality. Majorly in all the international forums or international organizations, the decisions are in favor of the developed countries or advanced countries, because they are majorly dominating those decision making process, and the less developed countries and developing countries, they have little say. Resources of LDCs are also exploited by rich nations. Globalization widens the gaps between the rich and the poor. The rich countries are becoming richer and the poor countries are becoming poorer. Take the example of some of the countries of Africa, and also countries like Afghanistan. Income disparity between workers of different nations is widening. So, this further leads to economic inequality. Then another negative impact is threat to national sovereignty. Globalization leads to political and commercial colonization of poor countries. So, you see that though many of the African countries now they are free countries and they have come out of the colonial rules, but commercial colonization is still happening, because all the major companies are being owned by foreign firms, and the benefit is going to other countries and not being invested in those African countries. Nexus takes place between the MNCs and the government of host country, threatening to the national sovereignty of the poor countries. For example, China is importing resource-rich imports from Africa and exporting manufactured goods, beside involved in infrastructure projects, and is influencing the government decision making and policies in such countries. So, they are becoming, the African countries or certain African countries are becoming economic slaves to China. Trade policies of LDCs are generally in favor of advanced countries. Another negative impact is loss of national and cultural identity. Though globalization is leading to cultural integration of different countries, this is leading to loss of identity of one's own culture and cultural values, norms and beliefs. For example, youth of India is more influenced by Western culture, and sometimes they ridicule Indian cultural values and customs. Political risks or tensions and higher dependency is happening. Globalization has created a world where the countries are independent. Higher dependency of one country on another for goods and services become problematic in situations of conflict or war and affects other countries as well. For example, Ukraine and Russia war has created a shortage of wheat and petroleum products across Europe. Another example is after the recent Indo-China tension between during the COVID times, Indian government appealed to the general public to shun the Chinese products. But this strategy couldn't sustain as we import hugely from China. Unethical and illegal activities are happening because globalization and the resultant removal of barriers has led to increase in illegal activities like drugs, human trafficking and terrorism. Child labor, corruption, kickbacks in defense deal is also happening. Flows of negative conditions is happening from one country to another, as we have seen that recession and different diseases, they move very fast to other countries. So to summarize, we have discussed the importance or advantages of globalization, like a higher standard of living, rapid industrialization, increase in production, per capita income, healthy competition, employment and development of common culture. Positive impact we have discussed, like job opportunities, better relations between the countries, also creation of international system of monitoring, collective handling of global issues and availability of capital. And the negative impact are like unemployment in developed nations, killing of domestic industry, exploitation, rising inequality between economies, political risks, national sovereign risk of national threat to the national sovereignty and flow of negative condition from one country to another. With this, we have come to an end to this section of globalization. Thank you, students.